if you get TKO'd of any way, in any way, I don't think you should be fighting for a while. As a matter of fact, I don't think you should be sparring. You have a cut in your face, or you get TKO'd to the midsection, and you have an injury that you couldn't continue, you should give yourself some rest. I watched it. It was one of my own teammates from New York. He fought kickboxing and got knocked out. Then went into Muay Thai and then won. I'm not hating anybody's hustle. Fuck, make your money. But make sure it's safe.
We're here with Thiago, right? I said it right.
Yes.
Here in Scottsdale. Looks like you're getting ready to go work out afterwards.
I'm probably going to train, yeah.
Yeah. So today, just to give everybody kind of like a frame of reference, it's like the second week of June, first week of June. It's June 10th.
June 10th, second week of June.
So there's been a lot going on. You've been popping up a lot in not just social media, but like, you have a gym, right? That's here in Arizona. You were just talking 21 years.
21 years.
So
21 years. That makes me sound very old.
Yeah.
Because I am, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, it's all. How old are you?
I'm 40.
You're 40 years old, Thiago? Damn, man. So something about that, I think, there's you as Paul McGowan also, who's like in his 40s, and he looks like he's in his like.
I think Paul's like late 40s. I think he's approaching 50. And he's like tip top shape.
Yeah, I'm like, I want to be like you guys. I want to be like that, like
training all the time, like a freaking dog, pretty much. That's what gets you there. So your gym, Sit-Down Gym, correct? So you guys also have like a branch that's different owners in New York, right? Yeah. So the history is it started in Morocco. My coach's coach started a gym in Morocco. And from the story that I can, because they don't talk about it. Like I always ask them like, hey, like, would you do a video or something? And no, I don't want to do no videos. He never wants to talk about it. But the one time he did, he said that Sitan comes from, it's a shortened version of a Thai name.
Okay.
And so my coach's coach went to Thailand. Trained in Thailand, started with Taekwondo, karate, kickboxing, back in the 80s.
That's what was popular.
Yeah, it was popping. And he went to Thailand and learned about this martial art called Muay Thai. And nobody ever practiced it in the West, especially in the 80s. Nobody knew what it was. And he came back to Morocco, from my understanding, and like the shortened version, I don't know what the long version of the Thai name was, but the shortened version was Sitan. Thai, like, they like toy and like they like a short version of this like 10-syllable name. And so it was Sitan, and so he started a gym named Sitan Gym in homage. Apparently, from my understanding, he passed away already. He's been passed away, so it was like homage to that coach. And that guy, Muhammad, was and from my understanding, he was one of the people that pioneered the golden era.
No shit.
Yeah, he was a huge promoter. So there's a Sitan Gym. I don't know if it's still around, but in Rotterdam, in Amsterdam.
Oh, no shit.
In Rotterdam.
Okay, I didn't know that.
And so it's Gym International, and it was run by Vincent Villefoy, which is also a Sitan athlete.
Also,
all golden era athlete. Fought all the big names that was from that era. He was one of the first people to bring the Thais versus Amsterdam, Thais versus Europe.
Yeah. And
it was these really cool shows it's called Action Sports back then. You can look it up. It's kind of cool. The footage is there. You just have to kind of...
No shit. Okay,
So you'll see these golden era athletes. You'll see Sitan Gym on their shorts, on their capes and stuff.
Yeah, on their team stuff.
And he was one of those guys that brought, there was fights with, the Thai generals. They would come and sit.
Up on the stage and everything.
Yeah, it was kind of cool.
Well, they did that later like 2010s. Also, they had the Slam events.
Mm-hmm. Right? Slam was the resurgence of that.
God.
It was funny last time I went to Amsterdam, I met the promoter for Slam, and I was like, "Please bring that back," because he was trying to bring that back. This was a while back, and he was trying to bring it back. But those Slam shows were just awesome because he brought the best of the best in Europe versus the best of the best in Thailand.
Yep.
You know, like just like Anwar was fighting versus I forgot who he fought. That was a big fight.
He fought Liam Harrison. No, that wasn't Liam.
Slam.
No, it wasn't Slam.
But that fight was great. We're just watching that fight, Liam Harrison, with the kids. It was another fight, but it was such a good fight. It was a I think it was a Moroccan guy.
Yeah, and they had like Bovey on there. And they had all
the big names, and it was just so cool to watch. Like to bring that back, like Thailand versus, and it was exactly that. Slam, if you don't know, was Thailand versus Europe, right? And it would literally be two teams. It was the Thai team versus the European team, and they would fight each other each round. One corner was all Thai, one corner was all European, Western or European, whatever you want to call it. East. Those fights were spectacular, and they're all up on YouTube.
Yeah, it sucks. It was on like Eurosports TV or something like that, and you can still see it, but like the quality's not the best, but it's still there.
Yeah,
I think there's some high quality ones that are around somewhere on there. Now.
Yeah, there was some. I mean, they're not going to be. I had the VHSs. I had them. Aziz gave me the VHS, and then I gave it to somebody to put in to digitize, and they
disappeared.
They disappeared. Sorry. But I know that Brian Pope Troy every once in a while posts some like really great like golden era stuff. So like he'll post like these really obscure but awesome fights. I used to watch those VHSs as kids with Aziz, as like a literally 13-year-old kid. Like, oh, this is so cool, and that's like his best friend. Like, oh, that's my best friend. He's fighting, Jongsonen. Yeah. And he knocks out Jongsonen in one of those fights. And it was just like, holy cow. It was one of the most brutal knockouts, Jongsonen, I think. His name, I think, was Muhammad, too. And he knocked him out spinning roundhouse kick. What? Yeah. It knocked him out bad. Yeah. Really bad. And, I mean, it was just crazy. And that was, I think, in Europe.
Yeah.
It was a crazy fight. And we all know Jongsonen is a badass. And so these fights happened quite often. Like these big name Thais versus Europe, and Aziz's coach was the guy that's I think started a lot of these events. Well, it was kind of like slam type.
Yeah.
So so that's a lot of the history of the gym, and we have. From my understanding, 4. So we have. I thought there was one in France, but I don't know if it's still there. I've never met that guy, but I know the one in Morocco is still there. Rabat. There's one in Rotterdam. Obviously, the one in New York, and then mine.
So that's 4. Yeah,
that's 4. And so I started working for Aziz. I started martial arts at 6 with Taekwondo
at his school,
and so
was that at Satan?
No, I trained with a couple like Olympian, like athletes, Peter Bardatzos, and then Grandmaster Park. I think he passed away. But these were like Master Bardatzos was a big name in the sport, and I was kind of grooming myself to be in the Olympics because Taekwondo at the time had just become Olympic.
And that was the goal, right? That was the goal. Go to the Olympics.
So I watched the sport go from non-Olympic into an Olympic sport.
This is interesting.
So okay. and that's where I was like very concerned about Muay Thai becoming Olympic and hopefully being part of it not turning into Taekwondo. So right now Taekwondo is not.
It's not what it was.
Not even close. It's actually the Olympians of that day hate the sport today. And they outwardly speak about it. Herb Perez, he's the first gold medalist in Taekwondo Olympics for the U.S. And he openly speaks about how ridiculous it is. It's not a fight anymore. It's a very difficult game.
Yeah.
I'm not going to knock the athleticism it takes to be good at it. But it's not a sport. It's not a fight sport.
Yeah, it's a different sport than a combat.
Different sport. Yeah, like PMT, right? It turns into a different sport. It's fighting of some kind. Yeah, it's not one and it's not the other. So what the fuck is it, right?
Yeah, it's this new subsect of like combat sports that's like not really combat. Yeah,
and so I mean, I'm not saying PMT isn't combat, but it is something.
Yeah.
But it's not Muay Thai. And so so I watched it. I watched the politics of it. I hated it. It actually made me quit Taekwondo. The politics of the Olympics and all those people, and I was doing camps, Olympic camps. I was training with Olympians all the time. I was training with the top athletes in the country at 12. And I hated it. And they would pit you against people. And I mean, I've seen some fucked up shit that shouldn't have happened.
Where was
kids.
this?
In New York.
This is in New York.
Chicago. I would go to Florida. I traveled all over the East Coast competing, all over. Almost every week I was competing. I was fighting almost every week. Went to nationals. I medaled every nationals. And when I say nationals, like my division was 30 deep, 35. So to medal in nationals, it's not one fight. It's like 7, 6.
Yeah.
In a weekend. And I would do really well. I was doing really, really well. A silver medal, you know, sometimes gold. You know, I was doing well in Taekwondo, but the politics turned me off completely. And then after a while, they started saying that I couldn't hit hard. So I was getting DQ'd for knocking people out with legal blows.
Yeah.
With kicks to the head, like Taekwondo blows. And I think that was at 13. I was a black belt. I was like 2nd degree black belt at that time.
Yeah. Well, obviously, you've been going since your 6 to 7 years of hard training.
Yeah. So, I've been training, and I'm not kidding. When I say hard training, I was training 4 hours a day. I'm not lying about that. There was 2 gyms that I would go to. I would go to Grandmaster Park for traditional, and then I would go to just purely competition for 2 hours with Master Bardazos, and they were like 4 miles apart. So I would just like leave one gym, all sweaty.
Yeah.
And go to another gym and continue my training. Like, didn't even take off my uniform. I just keep training.
Yeah.
And so I trained really hard, put a lot of work into that sport. And then, you know, I was walking down Steinway as a high schooler, and I saw a help wanted sign after I had stopped Muay Thai. Or I stopped Taekwondo, excuse me. After I stopped Taekwondo, I was like, all right, whatever, but I miss fighting. I miss it. So my whole life has been doing that. And I walked and I saw a window, and I just saw them beating the shit out of each other. It was freaking crazy.
This is in New York, yeah?
New York,
Yeah.
on Steinway Street. And I walk, and it literally stopped me in my tracks. I was like, what the fuck is going on there? This little window about the size of this.
Yeah.
And they were just pounding each other's heads in. It was crazy. Knees and clinch and dumps. And I was like, holy shit.
Like, what is this? Yeah.
This is amazing. I've never seen this in my life. This was before even UFC existed. And so, fuck, that dated me, huh? And so I was like,
yeah.
yeah. And so I was looking, and I was like, man, I want to do that shit. They look like they're fighting. After the round was over, they were smiling, laughing, high-fiving, and then they would do it again. And I would do it again. I was like literally frozen in front of that window. And there was a help wanted sign for Taekwondo instructor.
You're like, oh.
I applied. I was just a kid.
Yeah.
I was like 13, 14.
Sure.
And I was like, please, I want this job.
Yeah.
I want this job so bad. And Aziz will attest, I called every day for a week.
Just like, we're like, I want to be hired here.
Please, like,
Yeah.
Anything about the job. Just want to know if there's a job. I really want to work here. This is fucking cool as shit. I didn't say that, but I was like, I really want to work here. Very interested in working. I would call early every day, and after about a week, it was Master Sung. It was owned by a Korean guy.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't Sitan Gym yet. It was Minhurst Taekwondo at the time, and he would do Muay Thai. He was a Taekwondo instructor, but would teach Muay Thai after the Taekwondo late.
It was like something you do for like the adults later.
He's like, do your Muay Thai, whatever Muay Thai it is. You know,
Yeah.
It was back then nobody knew what it was, and so he would do it. He was like, all right, I'll hire you. You're going to teach for a week. A week after, you're not going to get paid. It's very Korean style.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I'm fine with it. Like, I really want to work here. Mostly because I wanted to do shit. It was ninja shit. I wanted to do that. And so I got the job. I worked my ass off at that job. Master Sung would just literally show up. He was a police officer from New York. He was for New York. He wasn't really like there on day to day.
Yeah.
Aziz was the operator.
Got it.
And so eventually he sold the business to Aziz. And, you know, I don't know if Aziz made payments or whatever, but he sold the business to Aziz. And back then, Aziz's English was okay. It wasn't great. Now he has great English, but it was like, he hired Aziz fresh off the boat, you know.
Yeah.
And
where is Aziz from?
Morocco.
He is from, okay,
Yeah,
he's from Morocco. Okay.
Yeah, so, and he was on the national team for Taekwondo as well. Like, my story is very parallel to his story. It's almost the same.
Yeah.
He started doing Taekwondo. He was in the national team. He was doing really well. And then he was like, what the fuck is that? You know, his coach came back from Thailand and that dude's a badass, man. He's like, his knowledge base and his ability to understand what's going on in the sport is like, I haven't met a lot of people at that level of understanding.
Yeah.
He would like watch a video live. You know, I was like, City Chai's fighting. And, you know, I remember one time in New York, I put on a tournament in New York and it's like, oh, you know, let's watch City Chai fight. He's fighting right now. And he's watching and he's literally calling what City Chai is doing before City Chai.
Like what's about to happen.
Literally.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, he's going to knock him out. That right high kick is coming. It's coming. Bow. Right high kick knocks him out. I'm like, did you watch this? And he's like, it's live.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is no way. How the fuck? He called it like the entire fight. How well he knew the fighter. We watched it on the phone. I'm sitting there like, what the fuck? Am I being like punked right now? Like, how did he know all of that? We knew it like on the like right cross, through the right cross, left hook, to the left hook. Oh,
yeah.
He's going to teep him. Okay, now he's going to set up the teep. He's going to throw the right high kick or left high kick. And I was because Chai's lefty. Left teep and the left high kick. And he called it. So the knowledge base is amazing with Aziz.
Yeah, IQ too, because the understanding of forming athletes.
The IQ was unbelievably high. Yeah. Unbelievably high. Like it was, you know, just, you know, I strive to be at that level. I don't know if I ever will be, but I strive to be as a coach at that level, just understanding it so well. So I started working there and I was still doing Taekwondo. I was teaching and I started training Muay Thai and the scene for Muay Thai was dead.
Yeah, there was like
really one fight a year and that's about it. And if you're lucky, you get matched. And if you're unlucky, you fucking wait next year.
Yeah, you're sitting on your hands waiting.
And you know, it was very difficult. And then youth Muay Thai, forget it. There was non-existent.
That wasn't even
have
a thing.
To fight adults, you know, essentially, or you'd fight in these smokers coming up. That's, you know, what you had to do. And then fast forward to 2002.
Yeah, because you said you come up on 21 years. Right?
Yeah, and so fast forward, you know, I came out here as an 18-year-old.
Come out here to Arizona. Where in Arizona?
I got a full ride to ASU.
Got it.
And so I was like, I came to Phoenix, and I was like, okay, this is, I guess, where I'm going to be. I hated it. I hated this place. Fucking podunk ass shit. And then coming from New York to here, it's like I'm going from like the city to like the literal farm.
Yeah, and especially back then, things weren't as built up.
And it wasn't built up. Yeah. So I'm driving around, it's just patches of land. There's no nothing. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing here? You know, I'm mad at my stepfather for taking me here. But I got a full ride ASU, so I was like, fuck it. I started a ice cream truck business with some of my loan money and
from
my
school?
College. Because I got full rides, you know, 1.5%, whatever the fuck it was nothing interest rate.
Yeah.
It was basically free money. And I paid it off and you know, I had a full-fledged business. And it was great. It was doing great. Ice cream in Arizona, guys, is like 100%.
That's going to sell, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to sell. I had my route in Awatuki. Chillin' Dream Ice Cream was my company.
Chillin' Dream?
Chillin' Dream Ice Cream. And I would go around and sell ice cream to the kids. And then at night, I would teach Muay Thai. And that's how that was my college. I had a full ride, so I had to keep, you know, a B or a C average GPA. And I had to, you know, I think it was minimum 12 credits or a semester.
For whoever was a full.
Yeah, so because otherwise I lose it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when I was done with college, I sold ice cream business, started the gym.
So when you started the gym, like what was like, so when you were teaching at nighttime when you had the ice cream company and the ice cream truck and stuff, what were you, like, where were you teaching at?
So I was a place called Apollo's Gym. Fuckery, bro. Oh man, that was there was so much fuckery in that gym. I just I couldn't wait to get out of there. And it was this guy, this doctor, this little French Canadian doctor. I mean, he was like this. He was a roided leprechaun. This guy was like 5'2". His arms were out to here, and he's walking around. He couldn't even fit through a door frontal. He has to go sideways. And his wife, I can't remember her name, but she was nuts. And he was like, just do whatever my wife says because he can't deal with it.
He's like, yeah, just listen to her.
Just I don't even fight her. She's too much. And so it was a country club in Elliott. It was a mile from my gym now. And I started teaching there, and he didn't even have mats. I would have to roll the mats out and put the mats back. I'll send you some pictures for the B-roll, bro.
Please,
it's legit.
You have pictures of this. Huh?
I do have pictures of
Do you still have pictures of your ice cream
I do.
visit? Oh, dude, please.
All of it. And so this fucking guy had a wolf for a pet, walking around in a fitness gym. Do you know how big wolves are?
Yeah, it comes up to like at least this
table.
Yeah.
Their freaking head is the size of my torso. So I'm looking at this wolf, and then he has like this chihuahua or some shit. At the same time, like, well, this wolf gets hungry.
It's a white chihuahua, huh?
Bro, this wolf gets hungry enough. That shit's food. And I was like, God damn it. I was like, this is nuts. He had a wolf and a chihuahua. It was literally, you're right, is a microcosm of their relationship.
Yeah.
And you start sparring, and this wolf starts growling. And I'm like, oh my God, dude, if this wolf, I'm going to kick it in the throat. I don't know if I'm going to get it right. This thing's going to kill me.
Yeah.
I mean, they start sparring, and this wolf's like, it's like creeping to the door and closing the door, like keeping the wolf. So I had to deal with that bullshit while teaching my Muay Thai class. He would call it kickboxing class. You know, can you please stop calling it kickboxing? Because I get these little ladies, and they're like, "Oh my God, we're going to do kickboxing," and then you're seeing men and women get punched in the head. They immediately go, "What the fuck is that?" And they walked out.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Please, can you call it something else?" And they're like, "No, we're going to call it cardio kickboxing." Like, you're an idiot, because nothing is gonna grow from this.
Yeah.
But it was cool because there was a couple women who's like, you know what? I want to give this a shot. And so those are my very first students in like whatever it was, 2002.
Yeah.
2000.
First students when you opened up.
When I opened
sit down.
up. It was technically Seton at the time. Because so when I was opening up, Aziz was like, why don't you call it Seton Gym? I was like, what? I'm allowed to do that? And he's like, yeah. I was like, I was really honored. I didn't know that I even had that option. He was like, you're teaching what I taught you.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy fuck, that's a huge honor. And he's like, yeah, it's
makes sense.
You paid your dues. You did your thing. You know how it goes. Like, call it Seton Gym. I was like, holy fuck, okay. So I did the whole thing online and got the LLC set up, and the rest is history. Yeah. Then we finally got the fuck out of there. After we moved around after that, but that first place was chaos. We moved to a Taekwondo studio. Then we moved to a Jiu-Jitsu gym, actually Arthur Ruff's gym. If anybody knows Arthur Ruff, we started when he started. Arthur Ruff had a gym about the size of this studio. And it was really small. I'm exaggerating, but not that much.
Wasn't that much bigger, yeah.
Maybe like double. The mat size was teeny. And I brought my students to that location.
Yeah.
And then he eventually was like, you have too many people. He's like, you need to find your own place. I'm sorry. And I was like, can you give me a month to like find? And he's like, yeah, it's not a problem. He was always, Arthur is always one of those guys that are like, it's kind of like Bob. Like he's not nice. He's kind.
Yeah.
He's not going to be like, oh, he's going to be like, oh, fucker. Like, your fucking tires flat, you stupid shit. Why don't you, but then he'll help you.
Yeah, right? Here, let me give him a jack.
So,
yeah.
He's and it's kind of like, that was like Arthur. And now I think he's in Washington. He has a gym out there and he's doing really well. He was kind enough to like give me a chance to like not get kicked out and be on the street. And so I found I finally got a lease, and that's the place I am today.
So for 21 years, essentially.
21 years.
You've been
before. The gym started at like 3 years
before that, yeah.
kind of like
When you're starting moving around, that's when
I registered that name.
Yeah, 21
years ago. No, in September it'll be 21 years.
Yeah, we were talking about it. It's the same thing. It's like when I started under Poo Muay Thai. That was May 2014.
Yeah, ours was September 1st, and we were like, okay, like this is
here we
so
are.
when he signed the lease, I was like, this is fucking real now. This is fucking real. So it was. I would never work so hard in my life.
I think I've seen some pictures and stuff like that up online on like your Facebook a long time ago.
It was hard. It was hard times.
It's like just some mats are set down.
Yeah, and it was funny because like Bob, I think, had just stopped at Absolute, if I'm not mistaken. That was recent. And so he was like, I need a place to send these guys. And we were literally the only Muay Thai gym in town. So he came by and kind of checked it out. And then Sunshine started training with us. And like basically the whole Muay Thai community was there because we were the only game in town.
Yeah.
And eventually Sunshine left, opened her gym, partnered with Bob. And then they split. And there was, that's that whole fucking, Bob could tell you that story. I don't need to tell you that story. But yeah, it was pretty much the entire Muay Thai community was there.
Yeah.
It was at our gym when it started, but it wasn't big.
No.
It was.
So the place that you're in now, did you like grow out next door to, was that the Eunice you grew into?
So that story's crazy too. So I got scammed by a family. Bonnie Huffman. You can actually Google her name, Bonnie Huffman. You'll see her.
Like court cases of?
You'll literally see her mugshot.
Oh, geez.
And they were really fucked up. What they did was fucked up. And they scammed me for every nickel I had. She impersonated Michael Pollock, which is a big basically Donald Trump in real estate.
Wait, didn't you just have this guy at your tournament?
His son.
His son. So that's full. Okay, keep
Full
going.
circle.
Yeah.
So she impersonated him, created a contract, had somebody call and pretended it was his voice. And she was my realtor. So I gave her every penny that I saved up to move in promise. She goes, you know what? You're going to get 4 months billed out. So free rent. You'll make that money back to lease a place that was in that plaza. I had grown out of that place like by triple. People were jumping rope outside in the front and the back, like literally in the pavement because I didn't have enough space.
Pavement in Arizona. That's
brutal. And so he, I signed and I gave her the money, a cashier's check. And it's basically cash.
Yeah.
And I was dumb, 25-year-old kid. And she took it and ran, disappeared. And I was so stupid. It was fucked up too because she had training. I felt bad for her kids. Like even her husband during Christmas got like really bad pneumonia. And I was there, like I sacrificed my Christmas and I went to the VA and I did like a Christmas for them. And that was my Christmas, like so that the kids can have a Christmas with their dad. And he was all strapped up, in the hospital. And I was like, you pick me to scam? Like I
have everybody.
You
right?
could have just asked. I would have given it to you if you needed the money.
Yeah.
You could have just asked me. I didn't have it, but I would have given you the money I saved up to move. I would have just given it to you. You wouldn't have been in a crime. Anyway, she was a scam artist. Ended up scamming a little league, nonprofit little league. So that went federal for $30,000. She basically took money and didn't pay the umpires. That money was for. She just took the umpire's pay and left.
That's fucked.
Yeah.
It's like a kid's little league, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, God, come on.
It's fucked up.
Yeah.
She's fucked up human. Ended up with all of this, I actually developed a relationship with Michael Pollock and, eventually his son. So he was like, here's what I'm going to do. And I always speak high praises of Michael because he really is a good person and he helps people that need it. He went and I was like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you the lease for that place you wanted because that is my place. I was like, I have no money. He's like, I'm going to give you a month to get on your feet and like start paying rent again. That's all I need. I was like, that's all I need. I'm good.
Yeah.
He gave me a really amazing rate at that place. And he saw me, a young kid. He's like, see what this kid could do.
Yeah. All right. Time to make it or break it, essentially, right?
And he gave me the lease, and I signed it, co-signed with my dad because my credit. Yeah. It was like, fuck. And so I was like, I promised my dad. I was like, Dad, I promise you, I will not fuck this up. And that's the place I am today. And from that seeded, like, the relationship I had with him. Like, we have a good relationship. I was at his son's wedding, and like we go to all his events because he's a good guy.
Sounds like he's very community oriented too. Obviously,
extremely.
Yeah.
So his people are the same people from like the beginning. He's like me. Like I don't like to like let people go.
Yeah. No, we're gonna find a place for you.
You're in my family now. Like I'm gonna make sure, even if you fuck up, we're gonna find a way to teach you not to fuck up. I'm not just gonna give up on my people. Yeah, he gave me my start. Really, like I owe him a lot. Because I would have failed right there. That would have been done.
Yeah, you would just.
I would have closed up shop. I would have earned him money. And yeah, the rest is history. Kind of set me up for success. I had a bigger space. That space ended up, I'm still knocking down walls across. Like, so it's still expanding. Now I started a jiu-jitsu program where with Nathan Hagberg, and we're looking to knock down another wall, expand the gym to do a jiu-jitsu program.
So you guys are trying to almost like an MMA training facility.
I mean, it's not because we don't have MMA.
Yeah.
We do Muay Thai and we do jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
And that's about it.
So that's not the plan. That's not in the plans. It's the plan is to keep it that way.
The plans is to keep it competitive Muay Thai program with the competitive jiu-jitsu program.
Which anybody that knows Satan Gym and the history that you just talked about too is anywhere.
Yeah, no, we're not going anywhere. Like the Nate is a very well-known black belt in the community. His accolades speak for itself. He's a really, really good athlete. Not to mention, cool dude, like really, really good guy. So, Sitan Jiu-Jitsu is active.
It's a thing. Yeah,
it's a thing. It's actually this month or next month is a full year that we've had jiu-jitsu.
Okay, so it's new in the lifespan of Satan Gym.
Yeah,
it's newer.
20 years. It's the first year. So that basically is the history of the gym. And then it's going to be 10 years that U.S. Open and the Siam Fight Productions.
So U.S. Open.
Yeah.
That's a fucking beast.
It's fun.
Man, well, this is kind of making sense on, you're talking about, it sounded like you're very entrepreneurial. Were your parents business owners?
No. My stepfather is a business owner, has always been. I kind of learned from him. My mom's just always been a gangster hustler. When you meet her, she's this nice little Brazilian lady, but
Brazilians work hard, man.
She's a gangster.
Where in Brazil is she from?
Espírito Santo is like Vitória. It's like a Rhode Island of Brazil. So it's a very small state, very small city. It was an awesome place to live. It's really, really nice. She got out. She was, fairly poor. She's gonna be really mad at me because she doesn't like to tell people that she was poor, but I think it's like a badge of honor. She got out of Brazil, like scrapped her money, bought land.
That is very hard to get out of that situation. And
she was in the slums.
And she got into the U.S.
And my family's still there in the slums. A lot of them. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Then she got to the U.S., New York, and I was 3 at the time or 4. I was born in Brazil, and she brought me out. My dad came out first, got a green card. Once she gets a green card,
did the family visa?
Family gets it. Yeah. It was real easy back then. Just get a job. They
want to make sure you pay your taxes.
Yeah, they just sponsor you. Your employer sponsor you for a green card. You get a green card, and then after that, you can apply for citizenship. I only got my citizenship at 27.
Okay, so 2 years after your business stuff, right?
Yeah, that was still just green card, but I applied when I was 18.
Yeah,
so
that's a long time.
It was very, very long process. Yeah. When I finally went up and I did the thing and I got that was 26, 27 years old, something like that. And that was a process. But yeah, my mom was a bit of a hustler.
Yeah. So, well, obviously some of that carried over.
So I started with the ice cream truck business. That was fun. And then the gym, I used to own a restaurant, vegan restaurant.
I mean, was it next door to your gym too?
Right next to my gym. So I basically, like help my athletes cut weight.
Doing meal
preps and stuff. Yeah. And that was fun.
So I watched all this from a distance online.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing it. It was like, vegan meal prep service. And it's like, oh, next door. I'm like, oh shit, Thiago, he's a hustler, man. I saw it.
I mean, I always want to be in the food business, but
that's a hard business.
After being in the food business, never again. Bro, it's the hardest business. I have ultimate respect for anybody that owns a restaurant and has a successful restaurant.
That's what, because
they grind.
Yeah, like the martial arts and like gyms and stuff, they have their own aches and pains, but compared to that, it's easy.
It's highly competitive. It was the most competitive business I've been in. And that was a niche. It was vegan. It was a niche business, so it was not that competitive.
Yeah.
But it was tough.
Because you have to get people in every day, right? It's like how do I get people in to pay the bills, to pay everybody?
No, it was not even getting into
I don't need to.
But it was hard.
Yeah.
Let me just keep it at that.
Yeah, so then when it comes into the tournament for U.S. Open Muay Thai tournament,
so
because your first one was in 2014.
It was Cyan Fight Productions.
Okay.
And the problem that I wanted to solve is our kids weren't getting fights. I had really high-level youth athletes, really good athletes, but I had to travel across the country for them to fight. Why isn't there a show that highlights youth athletes in a really nice way? Like I'm talking tip-top.
Not in like some ghetto bar somewhere.
Not in some bar or some, basketball court, or I wanted a show. So, and I went to a very well-known performing arts high school. It's called LaGuardia, and it's like considered the Fame high school. If anybody ever watched the movie Fame, it's like an old movie from the 80s. It's about a high school that's performing arts. It's very difficult to get into. And you have to audition to get in. And, I forgot what the number was, but it's like hundreds of thousands of kids audition and only 2,000, I think, get in.
So you got into?
I got in. I practiced like a dog to get in, and then broke my pinky, and I got in anyway. I played piano with a broken pinky.
Oh.
I had to write a piece in 8th grade because the piece that I practiced, I couldn't play. So I write a piece, and I played with 4 fingers on my left hand.
So you're a pianist also?
A piano, sax, clarinet, and the violin.
Shit.
So, but piano was my major. Violin was the most difficult instrument.
You ever play one of those bad boys, Taikan?
Oh, that's fucking badass.
Yeah, it's like a mouth pipe organ. So these are very cool. So like for me, I'm in music. I play guitar, play bass guitar.
That's the Thai flute.
Yeah, it's like from my Thai Lao.
That's right.
And then, of course, you got a ukulele, which also is very Brazilian also.
Yes.
Right? But also Hawaiian. So
there on the beach.
Yeah, man. You got to learn, you got to play. So it's funny you're saying a lot of this stuff because a lot of people that I see that are involved in Muay Thai actually have some form of musical background too, especially in a coaching, like.
Interesting.
Yeah,
really?
Brian Popejoy.
Brian's a musician?
It's not punk music, okay?
But I mean, that's actually no.
Yeah,
he's a drummer.
I don't know what his whole setup is, but I'm a bass player, and the thing is, it's like usually drummer, bass player, someone who's keeping the rhythm and keeping the show going, right?
It's fucking hard.
Yeah,
punk drumming is not fun, man.
It's tiring too.
You're working.
Our drummer that we had, because I played in bands and stuff like that too, and he was always shredded. Because he's just always having to keep going. Yeah.
That's fucking cool. I didn't know Brian was a musician.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my partner, Ryan's a musician.
Yeah.
Brandon's a musician. As a matter of fact, we were all talking about like one day, like getting up on stage and playing. He went to LaGuardia as a singer. That's how I met him.
Walter.
My best friend from high school.
Yeah. Walter from Sityodtong, also a musician. He plays the national anthem at his shows on his guitar.
No shit.
Yeah. So look, now I'm telling you, now you're going to see it too.
That's so cool. Now I'm going to see it. That's really cool. I didn't know there were so many musicians in our sport.
And
I know Kevin Ross is a pretty good musician. And I just always thought that was cool. Like
you think about it, but it's because it's martial arts.
Right.
So it's an art thing. right? But also when it comes into the business stuff, so you're going back onto this, you went to this performing arts school, right? And, you know, going into this stuff with the tournament.
Yeah, so basically the tournament was, there was no tournament at the time. It was this really nice show at Tempe Center for the Arts. It was fucking nice. I think possibly the best looking show we've ever put on. And it's like, it was so nice. And so we started attracting attention because nobody was putting on a show this nice. It was literally a pro show.
High production.
High production. So I tapped my best friend and I was like, Ryan, I don't have any money right now, but I have this idea for a business. And then I had another partner, Brandon. I tapped him on the shoulder. I started with him and I was like, hey, like I have this idea. Like I kind of like the way you think. He was very business minded. He's a marketing guy. And so I just lucky enough to pick the right people. They were perfect partners. They filled all the gaps that I had. So any gap, we kind of fill each other's gap. Whatever deficiency we had, like Ryan was, this. And so it made a really great partnership to where we can come up with the best product possible. So the show did really, really well.
You're bringing people from Europe and stuff like that too. Ireland,
So Japan, China, we had Africa, we had Morocco, we had Belgium, France, and a lot of our. So it was really difficult to qualify for a world title in my show. Extremely difficult. So we only had a few, and all of the world titles ended up on ONE FC. They're all names now.
Okay. Like who?
So,
Tuzo Cruz. Yeah.
Mahmoudi Jim guys, the two French guys. But I'm watching these guys going, holy shit, that's fucking Tuzo. He's on ONE FC, or that's, Elias Mahmoudi. Elias,
yes. Yeah.
Elias. He was a youth world champion. He fought one of, actually, who did he fight? He fought Ahmed. He beat him. It was a scrap. That was a fight. Ahmed Ibrahim. Ahmad.
Yeah.
I always got Ahmad. Ahmad Ibrahim and Elias fought. And that was just a scrap. That was a barn burner. And they were kids. They were 16.
Yeah.
And so it was really cool because the rules allowed for full Muay Thai for kids.
Here in Arizona.
So they fought with elbows and everything.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you. Yeah, no shit. And so we started that trend. We started bringing people from literally everywhere.
And it was youth athletes too.
It was youth and adults.
Yeah.
So I started, there was a fight. And my partners hated me for this because it made no money. But I wanted to watch it.
Yeah, typical.
I was like, this Portuguese kid's really good, and I want him to fight the kid from China. So either a kid from Portugal and a kid from China meet in the middle, literally, and fight. And it was the Chinese kids like 8 counted him early on, beat him up, and then got tired. And the Portuguese guy started beating him up, and the Portuguese guys, the kid he lost, split. It was it was probably one of the best fights I've watched that nobody knows about. And they were 16. It was unbelievable. It was like a pro bout. It looked like a pro bout. Both of them were seasoned athletes. And when I say seasoned, like 30, 40 fights in.
Yeah.
At 16.
So you would go from these fights, and the thing is, like you said, no one really knows about them. Do you guys still have the video and stuff like that?
Yeah, we have video. We have fuck ton of video. We have all these these videos of these fights they were so nice. And I don't know if you've ever been to Tempe Center for the Arts. It's a city theater.
I think there's a show coming up there, I think. If I'm not mistaken.
I doubt it.
No,
I doubt it because they kicked us out.
A concert that was going on there.
Not a fight.
Not Muay Thai fight. No,
because they were like, well, we don't want to be fight or because we would sell out as the only show that sold out at Tempe Center for the Arts.
But they wouldn't be known for that.
But they were like, well, it's not arts, and I was like, it is arts. So our very last show, we put on the first pro Muay Thai bout in Arizona, and that happened in like last pro show was like 20 years ago or 30 years ago or something before that. So there was no pro Muay Thai. And my goal was to like, let's do a pro Muay Thai show. So we put it on, and I had 3 bouts, and almost all of them fell through except Damien Early. And
Here, you got it. Yeah, this one is like...
This was such a good fight. It was such a good fight. It was Damien's last fight, I think.
Really?
Damien Early last fight. He fought... Bob said he fought with a broken hand. It was crazy. And Damien hits him with a spin elbow early on.
Damien's freaking game with his elbows, too.
So,
yeah.
Let me get you some background. The freaking hoops I had to jump to make this happen was staggering. Staggering. Lots of money to make one pro bout happen. I'm sorry. It's like obscene. Like, yeah, that's why it doesn't happen.
Yeah, because the pro stuff is there's a whole nother can of worms you're opening.
Oh, bro, you don't even understand. Like, they looked at me like I was like, what the fuck are you? Like, we're gonna look at all your records. They check your bank accounts. They check your credit. If I miss a mortgage payment, they're asking you, why did you miss this mortgage payment? I need to see now a 2-year history of your mortgage payments. That's exactly what happened, actually. I missed...
I was like, it sounds oddly...
one mortgage payment.
Yeah.
Because I was out of town. And it was like 30 days passed. So I was like, oh, fuck, I thought I paid it. I didn't pay it. Well, she was like, we need 2 years history of all your mortgage payments. So I did. I gave them 2 years history.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, okay. Okay, you're fine. I gave them more than that. I was like, here's all my, like...
Here's everything. Yeah. Here's the kitchen, everything but the kitchen sink. So yeah, you came in, and so you had this pro event in, first pro event in Arizona, and you said 20, 30 years, something like that.
And that was our last show because it was just so expensive.
Yeah.
It was so expensive. And so what we did was, I came back from, I was 2 of my guys got selected to be on the U.S. team for IFMA. Mm. And it was in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And that was shortly right after that airline disappeared. It was to Malaysia Airlines. It was literally a month before, I think. And I was like, I don't give a fuck. Let's go. Like, I don't give a shit about no shit.
Was your airline ticket cheaper?
No coaches. There was no coaches. There was nobody. There was no support. It's like, Thiago, please be the head coach. There's no coach that wants to go. And I'm like, what the fuck kind of U.S. team is this? Mm. This is the America. Like, we're the fucking bad motherfuckers of the world, right? Like, come on. What the fuck is this? We can't get, like, we could not. Nobody even knew what IFMA was. I didn't.
Yeah, it was a newer thing.
Right? I knew about IFMA on my first trip to Thailand. And I was like, holy shit, this exists? Like, this is a legit world championship. So it was 2006 or 7. Mm. And I ran with everybody. It was like Brian. It was like all these big name guys. And I was like, holy fuck, this is amazing. This is like a legit national tournament.
Yeah.
And it was at its infancy still, I think. It wasn't like really big, well known. But when I went to Malaysia, I was embarrassed. Not for the athletes. I wasn't embarrassed that I had. Those athletes were superior athletes. Yeah. Really good athletes. But with zero support. And I mean zero support.
Oh, I know this because I know people who went to those ones.
And I was so embarrassed. I sat down. Her name was Cheryl. And she was the president of USMF at the time. And I was like, this is pathetic. We are looked at like a low-level country. Like, they were like, oh, U.S.? Like we got this. I was like, fuck that. I was like, this is bullshit. I don't want the U.S. represented in this way. And so I was like, I'm going to start a tournament. And we're going to do a qualifier. And we're going to educate people about IFMA and the World Championships. And we're going to start, bringing people to this World Championships. And we're going to fucking win. Because fuck this. Fuck this. I'm never... Like, I was so embarrassed that I was the head coach. Not because of that team. That team was awesome. As a star-studded team, by the way. But with no support. Ethan from Wooden Man was there. It was Jessica. Ing from Seton, New York. I had Destry and John Brewer. John took silver that year. What's the other guy? Would have been big guy. Matt Baker.
Matt
Baker was there. He took bronze. It was the Mongonias, Mongonia the Mongonias, and his wife now. She also competed. She competed against Valentina Shevchenko.
I think it's Jessica or something like that.
Jessica.
Yeah.
And they were such a cool team. I love them. They were really great guys.
Yeah.
But I was like, all right, guys, it's just me. So you guys fucking listen up. Because I didn't even want to do this shit. I was just here for support.
You're like, all right, well, here I am.
I'm here, so might as well, let's do it. And so we did the pad training. We were on the schedule every day. It was really good. And they listened, and we did our best with what we had. And the competition was stiff.
Mm.
It was tough. Like I said, Valentina's sister fought Jessica, and it was actually a really great fight. She fought her really well. Our team did the best we could with what we had. I remember that our team uniforms was like a jacket from Nike store, MMA shorts. And I was like, what the fuck, man? And I'm looking at like India. Like, why are they looking better than us? Like
they look better than America.
They
look crazy.
Like Portugal had like these like gold, silver, like shiny. I was like, damn, bro, like these teams look legit. We're America. We're supposed to be walking around like we're the motherfuckers.
Yeah.
We're the main character. Like what the hell is this? And so I just left, and on the plane, I didn't sleep on the plane. I was so upset. On the plane. Even Cheryl left early. She left me by myself with 3 days to go with the U.S. team. She's like, I have to go. I have things to do.
All right.
Like, bitch, I got things to do too. I got fucking things to do. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, I need support.
Yeah, we're all the way over here. Come on.
For your team. And she left early. I was furious. So she shook on it. She was like, we'll do a tournament. I'm like, my company's starting a tournament. We're going to start the U.S. Open. It's going to be a qualifier. But you have to make it so that if they win or lose, if they lose, they don't make it. If they win, they make the team. You have to make it this way. She said, okay. And so we put on the team. We put on the tournament. It was the hardest thing I ever did. I stayed up 48 hours straight. We built the rings, me, Brandon, and Ryan. We built them ourselves. Sweating. Matt's coach. Matt walked by us building the rings and was like, hey, man, I've never seen promoters actually build their own ring. I'm talking dripping sweat.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
No food, no fucking big shot shit. Like dripping sweat. I think I was bleeding on my one arm because the steel hit it. And he was like, and they came in and helped us.
Who is
Thank
this?
God. This is Matt Baker and his coach, Dan.
Dan Black. Yeah.
Dan Black.
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
Of course they would.
They would do some shit like that. It's a cool motherfucker. Yeah. And so I was like, all right, thank you so much for that. Like we needed the help. We had no volunteers. We had them, but not for that. They kind of fell off after 2 a.m. So like from 2 to 6 a.m., 7 a.m., we're still tightening the rings at 7. People are walking in the fight. We hadn't slept. So I go up, put on a suit. I just rinse, go put on a suit and come back down. I'm still 24 hours, no sleep. We're running the tournament. The whole thing goes down. We do the thing. Everybody fights and stuff. And towards the end of it, Cheryl's there. She's selling her little shirt or whatever. And I'm like, Cheryl, you got to watch these fights. Like, this is the U.S. team. Mm. So she's like, oh, yeah. She never goes watch the fights. She watched maybe 1 or 2 fights. She's trying to sell her stupid little shirt. I was pissed. I was really upset. And so because what happened was the agreement that we made was not fulfilled. Mm. And the agreement was if they win our tournament, they make the team. Even if they're not as good as you think they need to be. My idea was, who cares if they lose? They're going to come back to the States better. And then they will come back more prepared for the next one.
And they go through the tournament again, and then other people fight them, and then people get better, and then...
That's the goal, but it has to be, strict. They can't make the team without competing here. That did not happen. Not only did that not happen, she would give out invitations and then redact them. So she invited kids, my own kids and other people's kids, and said, hey, you're on the team. Got your invitation. They're all happy. Like, take pictures with the invitation. And then a week later, they're like, sorry, we
already have that spot
changed
filled.
our mind.
Yeah.
Change our mind. You're not fighting on it. These are kids that end up being gold medalists at IFMA, by the way. RCM and Ivesh ended up getting gold medals repeatedly at IFMA World Championships. So it's kind of fucked.
Mm.
But if they would have just stuck to their guns, they would have had growth and they would have done well. The other problem was that they weren't real nonprofit. The last thing we said to Cheryl was "fuck you" on the phone and wound up, because that went so bad. We lost so much money on USMF and trying to promote them. And I'm like, and for the longest time we did that. We promoted, the US Open was a product of, trying to make the US team better. And by the way, after that tournament, the team that was created from that tournament was considered to be the most successful IFMA tournament in history. There was more wins in that tournament and that team than any other team. They've won more fights than any other team in the U.S. history. So we accomplished what we needed to accomplish. There was a regime change. Cheryl stepped down. And then Chase stepped on. It is what it is today.
Yeah.
And so it was just a really hard start. And at this point, I was just like, you know what? I don't need to be associated with anybody.
Yeah.
Not anybody. It was like we could just do our own thing and be an open tournament, a real open tournament where there is no favoritism towards teams that I like. There isn't favoritism towards, any specific coach, which happens quite a bit. And with these IFMA teams and stuff, there's like, oh, you see the same guys from the same team. You don't see a real diverse team of athletes. And so it's just the same guys. Oh, I like this guy. So who do you have?
Yeah.
And so I stopped participating in helping other organizations out that ultimately are just going to use you and dump you. And so we were like, why don't we just create an open tournament with no affiliation whatsoever? And it's WBC because I have to sanction with them, but
or USMTA.
It's USMTA, WBC. But reality is we are not affiliated.
No, you guys are
just hire them.
Yeah, you're the only tournament in the US that uses a sanctioning body. It's not right. Basically the tournament's not ran by the sanctioning body.
Correct.
It's a promoter and a sanctioning body. And you yelled at me before. Like, yeah, you're smiling, but like every,
I know, and it was.
But the thing is that's my hat. You're in there, you're being a coach. Hey, I've been there, I'm doing that. Yeah. Here we can talk and and be frank about it. But it's important to have that separation and those lines and those boundaries.
I agree.
Yeah, because
it's a problem. I think we're the only event, we're the only promotion in the country, major promotion, I would say, that's a tournament, a major tournament, that isn't a sanctioning body. And we hire it. We hire a sanctioning body. And it keeps a balance of powers, right? Like there's no, and that's kind of like, I did my podcast and I was like kind of calling everybody out. Like, hey, I'm willing to have this discussion.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Like, how are you? I'm not saying like, TBA runs a great event, IKF, I'm pretty sure like they're doing good events and they're staying fair, because if they weren't fair, the community would rain hell on them.
Yeah,
right?
you would hear about it all the time.
But there's also a conflict of interest and there's opportunity for, because who's overseeing these people?
Yeah, well, the thing is, there's those little backroom things that happen, those back end things that people don't see on the front, the fighters and the coaches don't see, that could be right for
like matchmaking, match fixing.
And by the way, we're not saying that that's what's happening with anybody out there. Right?
It could be, it could not. Yeah. That's the truth of it. It could be, and it can happen, and nobody would know. That's the problem. When we were doing when we were doing our draws, we didn't have the random draw that we have today, which I sat with a guy that does these, a programmer, and we designed it. We designed the system to do random draws. Before, I was putting papers down on the freaking floor and like
At like 2 a.m.
4 a.m.
Okay, sorry, my bad.
And doing the draws myself, putting them down and then literally like writing them in. It was a nightmare. And eventually Bob was like, hey, you can't do that in private. You got to do it in public. So I did. I invited everybody. Hey, I'm doing open draw. You're welcome to come. Nobody showed up. It's 3 in the morning.
And with papers on the floor, doing all this stuff.
Doing open. Well, we kind of fixed that. But the first tournament was papers on the floor. Even the second tournament was papers on the floor. But after that, Bob was like, hey, none of this shit. Like you gotta do open,
So Bob
open
was
draw.
the sanctioning body.
Bob was the sanctioning body,
Yeah.
right? Bob was the sanctioning body telling me like, hey, you can't do that. You can't just do a backroom boogie in here and like decide who gets to fight what. You know, like coaches have to have a say. Whether you go to IFMA, you go to any draw, it's public.
Yeah.
And the coaches are invited and you'll see a lot of debate.
Oh, yeah.
No, I don't want, they'll yell at the guy making the match and they'll move it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not,
If they make
that's
a
not
good,
a fair match.
if they make a good case, yeah.
So they make a case and it's all in the open, which it should be.
Yeah.
There's a lot of events that don't do that. As a matter of fact, majority of them don't. Majority of them don't do an open draw. Majority.
Well, and this comes into one of the other big debates on there too, which you brought up was this semi-contact thing.
Yeah.
As well, right? So, and like, how does that play into that, right? It counts as experience. Like
Counts as experience. So the semi contact is another thing that I have. Like, there's a lot of issues.
And I don't want to get too much into it here.
But there's a lot of like the semi contact thing is I don't have a problem with the semi contact existing. I have a problem with it not counting, and that's where.
Or athletes being told they don't count.
Absolutely.
I think that's where
a problem.
That's where
They
a big
count,
mix-up happens.
and they count for me, and my argument is that you guys, first of all, IKF is a sanctioning body putting on events. Again, we have that conflict of interest. And it shows in PMT because any sanctioning body, anybody else that would allow this to happen, like if I were to try to find a way to do it and I'm on our sanctioning body, the sanctioning body go, that counts. We got to sanction it because it is a combat sport. But because I think they are a sanctioning body, this is where it's now this gray area. They have financial interest in some way, even if it's a nonprofit. Nonprofits still have to make
money. Yeah.
They have to make money because you have to give it away.
Yes.
You have to make money to give it away, but you also have to pay yourself. You have to pay staff. You have to, like,
well, you don't have to pay yourself, but you would want to.
I mean,
that's usually what happens.
If at some point you got to make some money to eat, and so if the nonprofit's your only gig, you're gonna probably have to pay yourself something, which is fine.
Yeah.
But the issue is now you have a financial interest in this event, and you're making up your own rules. These rules don't exist. I don't think and your job is fairness and safety. Fairness and safety. That's it. Is it fair? Is it safe? Those are the two things that you, as a sanctioning body, should give a fuck about. And nothing else, in my opinion. The promotion is thinking about how does this become profitable? And these are two things that are kind of like tugging at each other. And you find a happy medium where they both can exist. A profitable event that's fair and it's safe.
Yeah. Done.
This is a situation where I don't think it's fair. It's profitable as fuck. It's very profitable. But it's not fair to not count. So now you create an unfair advantage because that's how you're basing. That's what Bob said on our shows. You're basing these bouts on experience, and that's it. And that's it. What other basis do you have these bouts on?
Yeah, and just real quick, for anybody that doesn't know, Crew's Corner on RBT Sports YouTube channel, correct?
Yes.
You can go check it out. I'll put it in the show notes and stuff too. If anybody's
it's a great. That one was a bad
episode 16, right?
Episode 16.
That will live in infamy.
Yeah,
continue. I just want to mention it. Yeah,
that was a good one. We got a lot of people listening in on that because there was fireworks on that one. But that's it. That's the that's the problem that I have with it is that it doesn't count. And then and I did not realize it until this podcast came out, how many people don't want it to count. I was surprised. I would assume that you would want this to count, but then it made sense. It's like now I go to these tournaments and I'm an A-class athlete when all I've been fighting was PKB.
Yeah, point Muay Thai, semi-contact, MDL, YDL, whatever it is. Yeah,
still
counts.
So, we have a dilemma here because one organization's counting it and everybody else is, or one organization isn't counting it and everybody else is.
Yes.
And so you're pigeonholed into one organization. So if I'm only doing PMTs, I'm stuck with that.
Yeah.
I can't really branch out anywhere else because they're going to count that as
experience. Yeah.
Experience. And vice versa. Well, they can go to if they can go to PMT, but why would you? Why would you go from full contact down to semi-contact after experiencing full contact?
Mm-hmm. Well, I can tell you why.
Why?
So one of the reasons is lack of other avenues to compete, right? Someone's having a hard time getting matches. Also, from my understanding with semi-contact, I believe a professional can go and do a semi-contact competition with amateurs. Unless it specifically states otherwise when it comes in.
That's fucking wild.
Because it's semi-contact.
Why would a professional...
But why? Yeah, why would they, right?
A professional want to, but there's that... Now you have that opportunity for unfair bouts.
Yeah, it could happen, right?
It could happen.
Well, I sent you the video about the kid in Canada, right? At one of these semi-contact things for a kickboxing tournament. Apparently the guy that he was fighting against just came back from Thailand and there was no vetting process of who was being matched. Apparently he got kicked in the head a bunch of times. Actually got knocked out, so his opponent got disqualified. He got to go into the next match, and they let him fight again. A sanctioning body would have been like, a timeout.
You can't fight again.
You just got knocked out.
But here's another example. This is not the only sanctioning body that does that. WKA allows you to fight in multiple divisions. This is a sanctioning body that puts on kickboxing, Muay Thai. I witnessed with my own eyes an athlete get knocked out in kickboxing, and within 6 fights later, fight.
Knocked out like lights out.
Knocked out.
I've seen it. I saw at the World Championships they had also.
It's dangerous.
Yeah.
Compound knockouts like that, like multiple knockouts back to back, is where you start getting permanent brain damage. There should be a concussion protocol. I watched it. Now, I don't know if that still exists, but if you get TKO'd in any way, I don't think you should be fighting for a while. As a matter of fact, I don't think you should be sparring. You have a cut in your face, or you get TKO'd to the midsection, and you have an injury that you couldn't continue, you should give yourself some rest. I watched it. It was one of my own teammates from New York. Fought. He got knocked out. He went back and he fought kickboxing and got knocked out. Then went into Muay Thai and then won. And I was like, but there's the financial interest, right?
Yeah.
Because if he didn't get to fight that other one, they have to refund him the money.
Yeah.
So there's the conflict of interest.
Yeah. Hey, we want to let him fight, so we don't have to give him the money. Yeah.
For money.
Yeah. Whether intentionally.
And I'm not hating anybody's hustle. Fuck, make your money, but make sure it's safe.
Yeah.
And this is where that's another example.
Like you said, they're tugging at each other.
They should be tugging at each other. They shouldn't be pulling one direction.
Yeah.
Be like, fuck the safety. Let's make some money. And so I watched it happen. And it was like, I watched it multiple times. It happened multiple times. You can sign up for multiple divisions. And, I could do kickboxing and Muay Thai. And then fight in both as separate people, essentially. So they're not watching this and going, hey, you're suspended.
Yeah.
We have to take you out of the other bracket. Now you have to, if it's a single person bracket too, if it's a 2-person bracket, now you have to refund 2 people because he got knocked out. Oh, they're not doing that. They're fighting.
And this is the
WKA.
The WKA one. This is that scenario we're talking about, right?
Right.
Because it comes into the financial and having a conflict of interest in regards to
conflict of interest and nothing checking it.
Fairness and safety, profitable event.
Yeah.
Right.
Fairness and safety starts to go out the window. Hey, you know what? That ambulance, we don't need it. There's a hospital down the street. Oh, we don't need that, that that extra doctor at the ring. We could do one. We could do this. We could start cutting in little by little. What tends to happen is, you start to put your athletes in slowly but surely unsafe situations,
whether you realize it or not.
Because you're kind of like, you're making concessions for that. Where's the opposite here? Bob keeps adding more stuff, making it more difficult, and as promoters, we're like, okay, now we have to raise the money.
Yeah,
because this is now going to cost us a new doctor. Like, we have to raise the bill. But no one thing is for sure. We are the safest tournament on the freaking country. You know for a fact that Bob's sole purpose is to advocate for the athlete. And that's his job. And we obviously want to work with him because we don't want a reputation for not doing that. We want to make sure it is safe. We want to make sure there isn't any deaths. We want to make sure there isn't any severe injury. Our last tournament, I'm going to blow him up and I don't care. Our last tournament, the only injury was a referee because he drank too much. What was it?
Oh, no, that was an inspector.
It was an inspector.
He was a new inspector. He drank too many energy drinks.
And he was in our triage tent, which we have a triage tent on top of an ambulance on site, and doctors, multiple doctors, ringside. He was in a triage tent for about an hour or 2 hours because he was severely dehydrated. They had to put it, but there was literally no injuries. There was no injuries. The matches were fair. They were safe. There was doctors galore. And there was doctors rotating every couple hours so they're not overworked.
The officials and stuff like that too.
Officials were
that inspector. That was his first time working that event too. Just to be clear for anybody out there.
And I know Bob's gonna not let him live that down.
No,
it was pretty funny. And after he was okay, I was like, okay, he's okay. And I could start busting his balls a little bit, but that was it. Otherwise, if it wasn't for him, we would have had literally no injuries. Yeah. Like no injuries over 200 some fights, 300 fight span.
Pretty good.
And so that's pretty good considering all things.
Yeah, full contact event. You'd expect it, right?
Right. And meanwhile, PKBs are having knockouts and injuries and, sometimes like paralysis, not just PKBs, but these semi-contact bouts.
Yeah, it's other organizations.
And so other organizations are doing it. They're not all made equal, but that's where you get into that gray area. But, the way that Bob holds us to a certain standard, and we have to comply.
Yeah, because it comes into the state,
right?
State
and that gives you the value you want. You're paying for that safety. When you're registering, I know it's expensive, but you're paying for that. You're paying for somebody to advocate for you. Whereas if you go to a tournament, WKA, you're paying. They're both. So maybe their decision isn't going to be as harsh as a Bob going, hey, where's the doctor? Where's the EMT that you said? Where's this? Is the insurance up to date? Is it going to pay for this guy's hospital bill? Are you going to take care of these guys? Are they going to be okay after this? If you're that person and you're also the promoter, you're going to go, okay, how much less do I have to? And it's someone there's an opportunity for someone going...
Opportunity for corruption. Yeah.
Whereas this situation, there is really no opportunity. We have to have our ducks in a row before the show starts. Everything's got to be... He's got to have the live, the medical insurance. All the doctors are there. All the ambulances there. Everybody's set up. And it shows because our track record is spectacular on injuries and, knock on wood.
Yeah.
Our track record is pretty damn good. When it comes to, injury and stuff, it could always happen. And if it does, we're prepared for it.
Yeah.
They'll be taken care of and they'll be taken care of.
Yeah.
So that's the conflict of interest I have a problem with. I, again, am going to invite anybody. I'll come on this show and anybody that wants to discuss this topic on what a sanctioning body does to keep themselves in check. I want to know that process. I have no idea what it could be, what it is, if it's a committee, I don't know, right? But I want to know what they're doing to make sure that they don't they don't do shady shit.
Yeah.
You know, who's watching you? You know what I mean?
Okay, they gotta keep their eyes out for you, man. How can people get a hold of you?
I mean, you can kind of message me on Instagram or something like that. It's Thiago_AZ_. And
how can people find your gym?
my gym, it's on our website. It's CetanGymAZ.com. And you can just basically sign up for a free class. It's real easy. We do everything digitally, so just go on our website, just click, just schedule it, and then come on in. And then our tournament dates are going to be November. We're actually doing a 2-day this time. For the fall, it's usually a smaller tournament. So we're going to do a 2-day. We're going to do Saturday, Sunday. I believe it's 23rd and 24th of November. So the weekend before Thanksgiving this time. So you're not...
Oh, you're looking out for the fighters.
Yeah, this time. Last time we did it after Thanksgiving, it was brutal. Like, and nobody was eating their Thanksgiving dinner. They were all cutting, trying to get lean. So it's going to be before Thanksgiving, the weekend before Thanksgiving, 2-day event. So keep it short for you guys. So that way you're not there for a long time. We have a new venue, and it's going to be at Arizona. It's the Mesa. So I forgot what it was. It used to be called Legacy, because I think it's called the Arizona Sports Grounds or something like that. And it's in Mesa. It's right by Mesa Gateway Airport. So you can actually fly into Mesa Gateway, and it'll be literally a 5 to 10 minute drive.
So for anybody that's listening out there that flies in from out of state, look at Mesa Gateway Airport if you're flying, not Phoenix Sky Harbor.
Not Phoenix.
Yeah.
I mean,
you can.
It's going to be a bit of a drive. It's probably going to be like a $40 Uber, $50 Uber, but the Mesa Gateway is a cheaper flight, actually.
Yeah, Frontier, and like you can get
Frontier. Yeah, it's real quick, especially from California or Vegas, even Texas if you wanted to. It's a real quick flight, and you'll be set. And then we're still working on a hotel deal. We have a hotel, but it's not going to be associated with the venue anymore. We're just going to have it. And if you don't want to use it, that's okay. Just get an Airbnb somewhere nearby. It's a ton of them. But this event is going to be kind of cool. What we call the Muay Thai Combine, which is we're going to be doing like basically a communal set of workshops where you can learn from the coaches that are there. So if you're an athlete registering or a coach registering for our tournament, you can participate in these events for free. Anybody outside of that, it's going to be a fee to participate. And I encourage it. So, for example, like we have a workshop on wrapping hands. If you have a big team, you may want to teach some of your parents how to wrap hands. May want to teach some of your kids how to wrap, some of your students that aren't fighting how to wrap hands.
Yeah, you get more help. Yeah.
Right, so you get more help, We're doing a series of workshops. It's going to be listed on your registration. So like if after you register, you want to click like, oh, I want to do the hand wrapping workshop and I want to do the competition workshop where you get to spar with each other, and coaches will corner for each other's athletes. We're going to like take turns cornering for everybody's athletes. They're going to be doing sparring. There's not going to be any matchmaking or anything like that. It's just going to sparring, no audience. And then we're going to be coaching each other's athletes. So the switching coaches, it's going to be more non-competitive, but more like learning from each other.
Coaches, it's an educational experience. That's what it's supposed to be.
For
right?
everybody. It's a communal educational experience. So, Bob is going to do a judge's referee. So if you're interested in being a judge or a referee, he'll start you on that initial seminar. And then, if you're interested after that, you can talk to Bob about doing his official seminar and starting to get, experience as an inspector and things like that. So he will do that. There's a ton of different workshops that we're doing.
And can I just like interject here real quick?
Yeah.
So the amount of like things that you guys are doing for the community with this kind of stuff, like that's something that I think a lot of people maybe don't quite understand, that no one else has done this before.
Yeah, this is the first time.
Yeah.
I did not want to do something that is community, that's like a competition based, like a PMT or, MDL. I wanted to do something that's, non-competitive. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite of competitive. I'm going to give away some things and you're going to give away some things that you've learned. We're going to actually learn from each other by just telling it, right? Like, you know, we're going to learn from each other by beating each other in and, oh yeah, you should have kept your hand up. Or we're going to learn each other like, hey, corner my guy. I want you to corner my guy, and I'm going to corner your guy. And we're going to learn from each other that way. And my athlete, I mean, fuck, man, if I was an athlete today, I'd be jumping on that. Even if I was competing, it's not for competitive athletes purely. It's for anybody that wants to participate.
Is you're giving an education of the sport too.
Yeah.
And that's like one of the key things, I think, for a lot of people. And that goes into a lot of these problems or issues that are coming up. It comes into education.
The education is lacking.
Yeah.
And the sport is growing. And I believe some of the people that are doing the education are also maybe misinformed. And it shows sometimes. I see some parents and they're coming and they're confused about like, well, what about this? I'm like, I don't know what you heard, but that's not a thing, you know, or this isn't a thing, or, you know, like we don't do long pants in this sport, you know? Yeah. And so like, I want to create a non-competitive environment where people can learn, you know, the one example I like is the hand wrapping one, because it's real easy. Like we're going to have an subject expert come in and show you the anatomy of the hand. Here, this is what the hand has. These are the parts of the hand. These are the parts that usually break. And this is how, you know, and then we're going to practice wrapping each other's hands. And coaches are going to wrap, you know, like maybe if I'm a coach, I'm going to have a coach wrap my hand, one hand. On groups of 3, and then one person's going to observe, one person's going to wrap the hands, one person's going to get wrapped. And then we're going to go around, and now my hand's wrapped, I'm going to wrap your hand. I'm going to wrap the person that was observing. One hand only. This is the way I do it. Ooh, I like the way that feels.
This is why I do it.
Yeah, this is why I do it. You know, that you know, tarsal on the right. Okay, cool. Then we're going to do it again. You're going to wrap my other hand. I'm going to wrap somebody else's hand. I'm going to do it this way. This is the way I do it. So we all take turns showing how we wrap each other's hands. And then we can take off of, hey, I actually like the way you folded that knuckle, blah, blah, blah. I like the way you did it between the knuckles. I'm going to try to do that next time. Yeah. That's kind of cool. And then we keep doing this. Eventually, we should have a well-educated consumer base that understands the sport in a very, very deep way.
And that's how the sport grows.
That's how it grows.
Yeah.
I think education is a big part of it. And that's how it grows. Once you know how to play the game, you understand the rules, you understand the techniques, you understand what's going on, you know, become less ignorant to what's going on. And you have less problems in the tournaments and competitions. And
Thank you.
we want this.
Yeah.
We want this.
Yeah.
We're all, you know, growing. So that's what we're rolling that out in November.
Awesome.
That's happening in November, and I'm very excited.
So stay tuned on that usmuaythaiopen.com, correct? All right.
Yeah, so you'll be able to register for that as well if you're a non-athlete or coach. And if you are an athlete and coach, it's just a checkbox. If there is a module that you're interested in, just check the box at no extra fee, and you'll be able to participate.
Dope. Well, Thiago, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure.
Awesome.